I'm Bruce Carpenter, and I'm running for Congress in the 2nd District of Maine. Now, in my introductory video, I mentioned that I am not seeking, nor will I accept any political donations. This is going to be as free a campaign as possible. And I want to expand a little bit on what I feel is the pernicious effect of money in our politics and in our democracy. We had a stark example of this just this week when the director of the Consumer Financial Protection Board, as well as the director of the Office of Management and Budget, Mick Mulvaney, said to a convention of bankers that when he was a congressman, if a lobbyist came into his office and had contributed to his campaign, he would sit and listen to that lobbyist. And if that lobbyist, a different lobbyist, would come in and they had not contributed to his campaign, he wasn't going to get in and see Mick Mulvaney. It wasn't going to happen. So, and this is what we always kind of assumed perhaps went on in Washington. Pay for play. You give money to my campaign, I will listen to you. Well, Mick Mulvaney made it perfectly clear that is exactly what happens. So if I was to take money from somebody, I suppose I would sit and listen to them and then give them what they want, which is one of the things I want to try to avoid by not taking political donations. Earlier, actually it was last year, before the tax cut was passed, there was a Republican congressman from Pennsylvania named Charlie Dent, who has now since announced he's not running for re-election, and considered a somewhat moderate Republican. And he was quoted as saying at the time, before the tax bill was passed, that he was getting calls from his political donors that if they didn't get the tax cut passed, don't come calling again. So you could kind of conclude from that once the tax bill was passed, it was to benefit the donor class, people who have money to give, sometimes a lot of money to give. And they get heard. They definitely get heard in Washington. But what if you don't have any money to give to a campaign? I personally have never given money to a campaign because I never had money to give. And, you know, there's, I think, an awful lot of people out there that are in the same boat. But who's going to be their voice? If they don't have any money to give and it's pay for play in Washington, who's going to be their voice? Well, I believe that person is me, which is why I would ask you to consider voting for me. I will be talking about the issues coming up. The tax cut, which I just mentioned briefly, is probably the major accomplishment of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives this past session. So I'm sure they're going to be talking a lot about the tax cut, and I would love to talk about the tax cut, and I will in an upcoming video. I'll also be talking about other issues that I think are important and we should be addressing, as well as what might just be happening that day. So stay tuned. I will have more to say in upcoming videos. Thanks for listening. And I'm Bruce Carpenter, and I'm running for Congress in the 2nd District of Maine.